Imagine you have finally met someone who checks every box. The chemistry is electric, the conversations flow until 4 in the morning, and for the first time in a long time, you feel like you are actually being seen. Then, suddenly, the temperature changes. The texts get shorter. The invitations are met with hesitation. The warmth that felt like a sunbeam is replaced by a cool, distant breeze. Most men look at this shift and panic. They assume she has found someone else, that she was lying about her feelings, or that she has simply lost interest. But what if I told you that the exact opposite is often true? What if the distance you are feeling is actually the highest compliment she could pay you? We are taught that interest equals proximity, but in the complex landscape of the female psyche, depth often triggers a survival mechanism that looks like withdrawal. When a woman feels nothing, she is a delight to be around. She is playful, consistent, and easygoing because there is zero risk. If you leave, her world remains intact. But the moment she starts to care, the moment your name on her screen makes her heart skip, the stakes change. Suddenly, you have the power to hurt her. You have the power to disrupt her peace. And that realization is terrifying. I am speaking to you today not just as a creator, but as a woman who has lived this internal tug of war. I want to take you behind the curtain of our silence and show you why we pull back when we are falling the hardest. Once you understand the mechanics of this emotional retreat, you will stop reacting out of insecurity and start leading with the stability that actually brings us back. Let's start by debunking the biggest myth in dating, that if she likes you, she will make it easy for you. When a woman is truly falling, it is rarely easy for her. It is a chaotic, vulnerable, and often overwhelming experience. She isn't pulling away because she wants less of you. She is pulling away because she is trying to catch her breath. She is trying to reconcile the independent woman she was last week with the woman who now stays up wondering if you are thinking about her. This is the insider perspective that most men never get to hear because, frankly, it's hard for us to admit. It feels weak to say we are scared of how much we like you. So instead, we go quiet. We take a step back to see if our world collapses without your constant attention, or if you will be the one to collapse when we aren't there to prop up your ego. First, let's talk about the intensity of the emotional mirror. When I start feeling a deep connection, I begin to see myself through your eyes. If I have insecurities about my worth or my readiness for a relationship, those feelings are magnified by your presence. If I feel too much, too fast, I start to worry that I am losing my edge. I pull back to regain my sense of self. It is a recalibration. I need to know that I am still okay, even if this doesn't work out. If you chase me during this time, you are essentially telling me that you also lack a sense of self without me. That creates a loop of instability. But if you stay steady, you show me that you are a solid foundation I can eventually lean on. Second, we have to address the assessment phase. In the beginning, it's all about attraction. It's surface level and fun. But the moment the feelings deepen, I move from, do I like him, to, is he safe? Safe doesn't mean boring. Safe means emotionally consistent. I pull back to watch how you handle the gap. If you become angry, passive-aggressive, or desperate, you have answered my question. You aren't safe. You are reactive. A woman who is falling needs a man who is a rock, not a weather vane that shifts with every gust of her emotion. Third, there is the fear of the investment gap. Women are biologically and socially conditioned to be the gatekeepers of emotional investment. We know that if we give our hearts too quickly to a man who isn't ready, the cost to us is immense. So, we test the waters. We create a little space to see if you will fill it with something meaningful, or if you will disappear. We want to see if your interest is based on the chase or on the woman herself. If the chase is all you wanted, you will lose interest when I stop being easy to reach. If you actually want me, you will remain consistent even when I am not providing constant validation. Fourth, we must understand the loss of control. Falling in love is, by definition, a loss of control. For a woman who has built a life she is proud of, handing over even a fraction of her emotional well-being to another person feels like a risk. When I pull away, I am trying to prove to myself that I still have the wheel. I am checking my own brakes. It is not a rejection of you, it is a management of my own internal speed. Fifth, there is the pressure of expectations. When things get serious, the rules change. We start thinking about the future, about families, about long-term compatibility. That weight can be heavy. Sometimes a woman pulls back just to remember what it feels like to be light again. She needs to know that the relationship won't become a cage of expectations. Sixth, we have to look at past wounds. Almost every woman has a story of a time she opened up and was met with coldness or betrayal. When feelings get deep, those old ghosts start whispering. She pulls back to see if you are like the others. She is looking for the tell that you are going to leave or change. Your job isn't to fix her past, but to be so consistently different from it that her ghosts eventually go silent. Seventh, and perhaps most importantly, she is measuring your emotional endurance. Can you handle a woman who has bad days? Can you handle a woman who needs space? If you can only handle the version of her that is on and happy and available, then you can't handle a real relationship. By pulling back, she is inadvertently giving you a stress test. The men who fail are the ones who let their ego dictate their response. The men who win are the ones who realize that her distance is a cry for stability, not an invitation to leave. So, how do you respond? You shift your mindset from "she's leaving me" to "she's processing us." You don't double text, you don't demand explanations, and you certainly don't play games to make her jealous. Instead, you stay the course. You send a low-pressure message that lets her know you are there, and then you go live your life. You show her that your happiness is not a burden she has to carry. You show her that you are a man of purpose who can handle a little silence. When she sees that you aren't shaken, her fear begins to melt. She realizes that she can fall, and you will be there to catch her without being crushed by her weight. This is the path to a deep, unbreakable bond. It requires you to be the leader of the emotional climate. Stop viewing her withdrawal as a threat and start seeing it as the final hurdle before true intimacy. If you can stay grounded while she is in the air, she will eventually land exactly where she wants to be, right by your side.